All right, every truck guy's favorite upgrade, or not really, but one of them, at least on the basic spectrum. We are going to go ahead and add a 4-inch straight pipe exhaust to this 5.9 Cummins that I've got. So this truck has a interesting little history. I bought it for my dumpster business where I run dumpsters, and it is going to be my backup truck, but no backup truck's fun if it's all quiet and modest. So what we're going to do is we're going to yank the exhaust from underneath of here. That exhaust came from California, you know, the great state that lets you do whatever you want. And so, of course, that exhaust has a resonator, a muffler, and a catalytic converter, I believe, just from looking underneath of it. So this truck is choking. So we're going to free up some of that life, and we are going to let her breathe a little bit more. So we got a 4-inch exhaust. These things are relatively cheap for what they are. MBRP. Nice heavy box. So what we're going to do is we'll do a startup video. We'll let you hear what it sounds like with the exhaust on here, and then we'll go through the painstaking task of watching me suffer as I go ahead and change out the new exhaust, and we'll get a video afterwards, see what she sounds like. Either way, I think it's going to make a massive difference. This thing needs to breathe. I need a little bit more exhaust flow flowing through here a little bit quicker, which will add a little bit of torque, add a little bit of horsepower, and of course free up our exhaust temperatures inside of the engine bay. The faster that exhaust moves from engine to the rear tip, the faster and cooler, or the more cooling we get in the actual engine itself. If it's all congested with all of those resonators and mufflers and things like that, of course, then that will essentially make the temperatures inside the engine bay hotter. Also, we're also enhancing the diameter. This whole exhaust on this truck is actually cut up. You've got like 2-inch pipe, then 3-inch pipe, then then your resonator and everything. So I think it's going to feel relatively different. So let's just get to it. This is what we are going to be removing from. All the way back there, you will actually see the start of the exhaust, and then it flows down and then back. So this is a turbo back exhaust. It's not from, like on a regular car. You're not doing it from a header or from down below. It's literally from the turbo and then back 4 inches. Pumped! Let's see what she does. All right, let's go ahead and get that stock sound. Let's see what it sounds like just with all that stuff on here. And we'll get a good test from the beginning. Alright, so as you can see, this truck is relatively stock outside of this beautiful S&B airbox that we just installed. I love how this looks and sounds. It whistles and purrs, all kinds of good noises as we're going down the road, and it's only going to be enhanced by adding that 4-inch exhaust. So other than that, we don't have any injectors that are stepped up or any tunes. This is a non-modified truck outside of this bad boy here, and down here you have the pump that goes to some assisted airbags on the rear shock, so when we're towing it doesn't feel too heavy. But let's get to going. Alright, so it looks like I made that up. There's not as much under here as I thought, but you've got one, I'm gonna guess, resonator or catalytic. That would essentially be a resonator. There's no way that's a cat, but what do I know? Then you've got the big old muffler down there. Let's see. Look. Oh, wow. That thing is huge. It's a couple feet long. Then we got this bad boy. And then you run all the way down here to that. I don't think that's 4 inches, but we're going to find out. This looks like a test pipe that was inserted in here. So maybe this was where a catalytic converter was, and then somebody decided to take it off. I don't know how big that is, but we're going to compare it to the new pipe that we have. We'll see what it looks like. It's packaged really well, I guess. Look at that. Bunch of old shredded boxes. Oh, I definitely say those pipes are bigger. Holy moly. I would assume. Let's... Holy cow. Yeah, I can't even hardly get my hand around that. That's nice. Let's get these all laid out. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead right away and give it some of the business. We're gonna go ahead and lube up a couple of these bolts that we gotta take off right there, because I already know they're gonna be a pain. There's a lot of rust there. What I found by reaching around back here, because of course the bolts have to be in the most unpredictable place, and I reached this around and I was able to find that this 14 millimeter fit pretty well, even though the 15 millimeter is what I'm going to be using to put on the new bolts. So we'll see if we can get a, we're going to go straight to the breaker bar and then put about 10 extensions on there just so we can reach that bolt, and then we're going to go ahead and get it off. Man, this is the best part. All right, we painstakingly got that bracket taken off. As you can see, that lines up right up there. So we get that bracket off. Now, from there, we need to start moving down, taking this off, taking the hangers off, probably taking apart piece by piece, then getting the other hangers off that are down that way. Honestly, guys, if you really wanted to do this very quickly, you had no regrets, you could actually just go ahead and just chop these bad boys off. You know, you would take and you would cut here, you would move down, you make another cut, and then you'd save yourself a whole lot of time and frustration rather than taking it apart piece by piece. But we'll see how desperate I get. We might get to that point. Oh, and just to be clear, that bracket there that we removed, I actually used a half-size socket, and that is actually what got those bolts off. It was tight because there was so much buildup around them, so it didn't fit one of the sockets, but then I got another one and it fit a lot better. So that is what you're going to want to use to remove those. All right, so after carefully removing that, what we want to do now is hit this with some of the slippery slit. Get that in there so that we can easily pull the exhaust out that way. Well, shoot, what's another piece? All right, now we're gonna go ahead and remove these hangers here. And carefully go ahead and lube these up. And then we're just gonna pop them off, and then that way we got the hangers all preserved. All right, so everything's been cut off. Now what we got to do is snake that part of the exhaust, which is sitting on that rear axle right now. Pull that out, snake it out, all weird like, and then we're gonna take off what is remaining of the hangers so we can get that new exhaust lined up. All right, cool. There she is, all off. Now we get to do the fun part of putting it all back on. You know what, just for fun though, let's see what this bad boy sounds like without an exhaust at all. Who knows? Sound like a dang tractor to me. But man, that is a lot of junk that's on there. So hopefully, as we're cruising down the road, we'll like the difference. We'll see. I'm gonna take a little break, and then I'm gonna get this rest of the stuff on. Hopefully, we're past the hard part. Knock on wood. Where's some wood? On to this flange. That's what we got to do first. So here, I'll let you see it. We've got this one right here. This is your downpipe, and this flange basically pulls up and anchors. There's a bolt that will go here, a bolt that will go there. It goes to the other side. The weird thing is though, the bolt runs this way, so you have to be under the truck to put it on. Unless you have some special tool, which I'm sure somebody does, but I do not. So let's get to it. All right, so there's definitely a certain way to put this on. You're gonna actually want to feed it through this way, kind of upside down, and you gotta snake it in a certain way that you can then bend it back so that the elbow is actually following up. At first, you're gonna kind of freak out as it starts to bump into things and you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't gonna be any room for this. But it'll go in. It's cut just long enough that you can make it fit. But at first, it is kind of interesting. Makes you think you might have bought the wrong thing, but it'll fit. That, what we want to do is there is a hanger that was on the truck. We want to slide this right here. There's a hanger. We're gonna push that in there so it can actually hold the exhaust. Probably there it is, stock hanger. Fed it through there. That way we can kind of hold it in place as we get it bolted up onto that flange attached to the turbo. Get a nice good seal. Hold it. And lose that bolt. Oh. Alright, believe it or not, we can get a socket under here and at least get it started. It's a little tough to do one-handed with the camera in a hand, but you can get a little bit of action here. I also put a little bit of WD-40 where the threads are, just so that it kind of slipped on here a little bit easier. And I actually have more room on this side over here to work than I do on this side over here. So you should be able to get this most of the way on, and then if you want to get underneath and get, you know, a big extension on it and hit it really hard, you probably could too. It also helps I do have pretty small arms, so find that lanky friend of yours. You'll notice that the bolts are a little bit longer than what came on the truck before. Like there's probably a 1/4 inch of thread there, 1/4 inch of thread on that side. I don't know, it wouldn't even be a bad idea if you got like a little nut on there, if you could find one. That way that, you know, that you don't want your exhaust to ever leak or rattle off, or, you know, slowly start to back its way out. So that'd just be one way to do it. I think it'd be overkill. I don't think that thing's going anywhere. And you want to make sure that your flange, that lip, goes over the exhaust here, so you're not just pouring out exhaust right into your engine bay. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. After that, we gotta just start connecting the rest of it. All right, so with this truck, we actually didn't have to cut anything at all. So we've got bracket here, a bracket there. We got one here, and this one has like a little keyhole. As you can see, we got the hanger here, which actually hooks onto the clamp as well. It's kind of a cool design. And then from there, we just basically have the axle back and one exhaust piece after that. and we're gonna be all hung up and we're gonna get it all tightened down. And pretty painless install actually after you get it off. It's really just the getting it off, and then after that, it's not too bad at all. We gotta just tighten everything up. Woo! I think we got it on, guys. So let me take a look here. Tired of climbing under here. All right, so the hardest part about all of this is lining up the key properly. Or not the key, this bracket. And they call this down here like the keyhole. See how this sits? Whoa. Focus. Sits kind of on this lip, and then that lip hugs the pipe itself. If you can figure that out and what direction the hangers sit, you can pretty much guarantee that nothing is gonna touch, which is really cool. So as you can see, the hangers aren't hung up, you know, under here, smacking metal. We don't have anything sitting on the axle here. We don't even have anything rubbing the tire over there. We got gap there. You know, she hangs out, but that's actually how the stock one looked. Actually, the stock one hung even a little bit lower than that. This one goes a little bit more out to the side. We got that bracket there. Again, you can kind of see how it's hung. Hopefully, if you guys are doing this with the MBRP system, you can kind of get an idea what that bracket's supposed to look like. As you can see, I guess we'll call it tongs. I don't even know what these are. The arms stick out. I hugged them in on the inside. I'm honestly not sure if that's perfect, but it was the best way I could make sure that this bracket held that. I anchored this down pretty hard with a socket first. Once I ran out of socket, I went back and got a wrench. I ratcheted that on that way. Other than that, we've got those down there. 1, 2, and you can see that hanger just slipped on there from that first down pipe. Other than that, she on. I'm gonna go double check to make sure that we're still tight on the down pipe, and while, you know, we were jostling stuff around, that bracket hung firm. Otherwise, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the camera in front of that tailpipe. We'll see how she sounds. Oh man, I can't tell what's facial hair and what's dirt. Mostly dirt. Anyway, guys, this install was actually pretty easy for the most part. Definitely not the worst exhaust setup I've ever put on. And I know the camera quality and mic quality is going to vary, but it does sound way better. It just sounds like it's choking a lot less on that exhaust going through. And the only other modification we have on this truck, outside of that air pump, is the cold air intake that's sitting up there, that S&B. Sounds beautiful, and we've removed a turbo silencer ring. So it does sound really nice sitting in the driveway. Well, let's take it for a quick cruise real quick. I gotta go visit my parents anyway, so we'll see how she sounds. All right, so just guessing, I think the stock exhaust was probably around 3 inches, although it kind of varied. There was like a 3-inch piece and a 4-inch piece in between the muffler and the resonator, or the catalytic converter, whatever that piece was, that was on that exhaust. So it was all cut up, but we do now have 4 inches going from the turbo back. So theoretically we should see, oh, that's cool. We should be seeing more power coming from the truck, a little bit more top end for sure. So let's just tell you right now, this thing whistles like a mother trucker. This sounds beautiful. This is what I've been missing. I had a 7.3 with a straight pipe, a Ford 7.3 with a straight pipe before, and I love the way it sounds. And I just was blown away that that is not how this thing sounded. And if you're on the fence, the 4-inch MBRP, I believe is what it's called, exhaust. I mean, it's only about $400 that aluminized steel. It sounds beautiful. So thanks again for following, guys. Like, subscribe, follow. Let's just get a noise here. Woo! We're not going wide open throttle. We're actually out the, hello police officer. Yep. We're just getting a little taste there. But like I said, please like, subscribe, follow, and stay tuned to this series that we're kind of doing on the side from our normal content. The goal is to basically customize this truck. We're just going to slowly add parts to it, and I want user or viewer suggestions. So keep tossing out ideas video to video, and we're going to keep maxing out that credit card, and we're just going to keep building this thing up. And while we're building it up, I'll do a tutorial on how to put the part on if I'm able to. So thanks again for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, follow. Drop those ideas, drop those content ideas, drop those truck parts that need to get put on this rig until this thing is just absolutely outrageous. So have a good one. Catch you next time.